Today, we're investigating one of the biggest corporate disasters in British retail history. Imagine this: a company that survived 88 years, operated 164 stores, and employed 11,000 people, sold for just $1. And then, just 13 months later, total collapse. This story has everything: billionaire yacht owners, convicted fraudsters, missing pension money, and a scandal so explosive that the UK Parliament launched a full investigation. This is the unbelievable fall of British Home Stores, or BHS. Note, all financial figures have been converted to US dollars for this documentary. British Home Stores opened in 1928 in South London. Think of it as Britain's version of JCPenney or Sears, a department store where working families could buy everything from clothes to furniture at affordable prices. For decades, BHS was a British institution. By the late 1960s, they had nearly 100 stores across the UK. They went public in 1933 and became a household name. Every British family had shopped at BHS at some point. But like many traditional retailers, BHS started struggling in the 1990s, the same pattern that hit American chains like Sears and JCPenney. Online shopping was emerging, competition intensified, and BHS failed to adapt. By the year 2000, the company was losing money and desperately needed a turnaround. This is where our first main character enters, Sir Philip Green. And when I say sir, I mean it. This man was knighted by Queen Elizabeth. In May 2000, Philip Green bought BHS for $200 million. At the time, he was already a retail mogul who owned Topshop and several other major British fashion brands. People called him the king of the high street. He partied with supermodels, had politicians on speed dial, and lived a lavish lifestyle. Now, here's the critical detail. When Green bought BHS in 2000, the company had a pension fund with a small surplus, meaning they actually had extra money set aside for retirees. Remember this because it becomes crucial. At first, Green seemed to turn things around. He cut costs, reorganized operations, and BHS became profitable again. But here's what was really happening behind the scenes. Between 2002 and 2004, Green paid himself and his family $423 million in dividends, money extracted directly from the company. Most went to his wife, Tina, who officially owned BHS and lived in Monaco, a tax haven. Result, almost no taxes paid on that massive payout. Then came an even more controversial move. In 2001, Green sold 10 BHS stores to a company owned by his wife for $106 million. BHS then paid rent to his wife's company to use those same stores, $153 million over the years. In 2015, those stores were sold back to BHS for only $70 million. The Green family pocketed the difference, while BHS weakened.
Here's the bottom line. During Green's 15 years of ownership, he extracted nearly $600 million from BHS while investing almost nothing back into modernization. No store renovations, no competitive online presence, no innovation. Sales stagnated, then declined, and that pension surplus? By 2015, it had become a $571 million deficit. Green later defended his actions, claiming he ran BHS profitably for years and that retail market conditions were beyond his control. But the numbers tell a different story. By 2015, BHS was losing about $1 million per week. The pension deficit was massive, and Philip Green wanted out before the failing company damaged his reputation. So he sold it for $1. The buyer? Dominic Chappell, a three-time bankrupt with zero retail experience. He was a former race car driver. One of the people who introduced him to the deal was a convicted fraudster. UK Parliament later described him as manifestly unsuitable and a chancer. And Green knew all this. He knew Chappell was completely unqualified. But Green was desperate to offload BHS, and Chappell's group, Retail Acquisitions, was willing to take it. The deal was straightforward. Chappell bought BHS for $1, promising to inject $10 million to help save it. But that's not what happened. Instead of putting money in, Chappell immediately started taking it out. Over the 13 months he owned the company, he extracted more than $2.6 million. The money went to personal luxury, multiple yachts, a Bentley, vacations to the Bahamas, expensive firearms, a Land Rover, and private school fees. All while BHS was collapsing and 11,000 employees were about to lose their jobs. A man who'd been bankrupt 3 times bought a company for $1, extracted millions, spent it on personal luxuries, and let the whole thing implode. On April 25, 2016, just 13 months after Chappell bought it, BHS entered administration. By August 2016, all 164 stores were closed. 11,000 people lost their jobs. 22,000 current and former employees faced devastating cuts to their pensions. The total debt reached $1.3 billion. The pension deficit was so catastrophic that the UK government's Pension Protection Fund had to intervene to prevent complete disaster. Retirees who'd worked their entire careers at BHS faced massive reductions in their retirement income. Meanwhile, Chappell attempted to move $1.5 million out of the company just days before the collapse. When confronted, he returned it, minus $50,000 in bank transaction fees. The British public was outraged. This wasn't just a business failure. This was systematic corporate looting. The UK Parliament launched a full investigation. 2 committees grilled both Green and Chappell in televised hearings that became must-watch television in Britain. Philip Green appeared for a grueling 6-hour session, facing over 600 questions. He was combative and evasive. At one point, he literally waved his checkbook at the cameras, promising to sort the pension crisis. Parliament's final report was damning. Leadership failures and personal greed led to collapse of BHS. They called Green's actions the unacceptable face of capitalism. Under enormous public pressure and facing threats to strip him of his knighthood, Green eventually agreed to pay $363 million into a new pension fund. But critics noted this was less than he'd extracted from the company, and he was still keeping billions in Monaco, tax-free. Dominic Chappell faced far harsher consequences. In 2019, he was banned from being a company director for 10 years. But the legal system wasn't finished with him. The following year, in 2020, Chappell was convicted of tax evasion. He'd never paid taxes on the $2.2 million he took from BHS, dodging approximately $584,000 in taxes. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison. The court heard evidence of his lavish spending on yachts and luxury cars while owing millions to the pension fund. After serving 3 years, Chappell was released on parole in 2023, but within months he violated his parole conditions and was sent back to prison in 2024. Then came the final blow. In June 2024, a judge ordered Chappell to pay $50 million to cover BHS's losses, stating he had tried to plunder the BHS group whenever possible. The contrast is striking. Green paid a settlement but kept his wealth and freedom. Chappell went to prison and faces financial ruin. So what can we learn from this disaster? First, this is what happens when companies become vehicles for extraction rather than sustainable businesses. Green extracted $600 million while the company deteriorated. Chappell looted what remained. Neither prioritized the long-term health of the enterprise or the people depending on it. Second, corporate governance failures enabled this catastrophe. How did Green's board allow the sale to someone like Chappell? Where were the safeguards protecting employees and pensioners? The answer, there weren't any. When concentrated power operates without oversight or accountability, disasters like this become inevitable. Third, pension obligations are sacred trusts.
Those weren't just numbers on a balance sheet. Those were real people's retirement savings, earned over decades of loyal service. BHS survived the Great Depression, World War II, and multiple recessions over 88 years, but it couldn't survive two owners who treated it as a personal ATM. The lesson is clear. When greed and mismanagement replace stewardship and accountability, even the most established institutions can fall. What's your take? Were the penalties harsh enough? Should corporate directors face stricter consequences for pension fund failures? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this investigation compelling, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into corporate failures. Thanks for watching.